Hello everyone, Kyle Fridland of the Fantasy Simpletons, here to cover the Week 14 edition of the Waiver Wire. As per usual, we will be covering all the major positions of quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end, 2 players per position. We're entering Week 14 now. For some people, this is a bye week, right before the chaos of the fantasy playoffs. For others, this is your last chance to make it in, and if it is for you, then I'll be here to help you as you go through the waiver wire here today. We will start off with the quarterbacks here, and we'll actually start with Jacoby Brissett. Now, over the last few weeks, I've already been talking about Jacoby Brissett a lot. He has been great week to week to week. He is still available somehow in 50% of leagues. This is going off of ESPN statistics. He should be owned in at least 90% of leagues. He's been one of the best fantasy QBs of this last month. He's got a much tougher matchup this week going up against the Rams, but honestly, there are still many quarterbacks that are playing right now. I would take Jacoby Brissett over Lamar Jackson any day of the week, considering what he's been able to do. But chances are Jacoby Brissett might already be gone and off your waivers. Maybe you might look at somebody like Trevor Lawrence this week, who he's kind of like the Toyota Camry of NFL quarterbacks. He's old, reliable, he's sturdy, can get the job done, especially when it comes to good matchups. Last week I said he was a good startable quarterback and he performed pretty well. And this week he's going to be going up against the Colts. It's going to be a close game. Usually the Jaguars statistically and historically have done very well against the Colts. So I think this could actually be great for Trevor Lawrence going into this week. If you need an honorable mention, if there's another name you want to look for, I'd throw out the name of Tyrod Taylor. Mostly because of his rushing ability. It separates him from a lot of the other streamable quarterbacks that are stuck on the waiver wire for this week. Next up, we got our running backs, and every week it feels like the running back position within the waiver wire gets a little bit thinner and a little bit thinner. Usually you have to rely on backup options and guys that can succeed others due to injury. I want to look at Blake Corum this week, because he got a few more carries than he usually does, and he did the most that he's ever done in a game. He got 81 rushing yards, he got a touchdown. A Kyren Williams injury, although he did come back into the game, can still be a little scary of how he's going to be week to week. If it's a lingering injury, they could look to use Blake Corum more and more as in these next few weeks as it goes along. If that's the case, maybe try picking him up. There's always a chance for re-aggravation. There's always a chance for possible further injury on Kyren, and that could lead to Blake Corum being the main back. As far as backups go, he should be the one you should try out for this week. And in terms of any other running backs, you're going to find very few starters out there that you can pick up. The only one that you might be able to find is Devin Neal. We don't know exactly the severity of the injury that Alvin Kamara has. It could keep him out for a couple weeks. He could be back this week. But you're not really going to find any other starting running backs out there right now, and Devin Neal is the closest thing to that. He didn't have that bad of a game. It wasn't like a great blow-away game, but if you need a pure starter, a guy that you know is going to get volume for this week, if you're in that type of spot, Devin Neal is definitely the guy that you should look out for. The wide receiver position. Every week, there's always a couple wide receivers that you can have as depth pieces on your bench, or even as possible flex starters. For this week, I want to shine a light particularly on Jaden Higgins. This is a player that I was very high on for earlier in the season, before the season started, and it's taken him a while to really develop into that role, but it seems like now he's the closest thing they have to a wide receiver 2. We're getting near the end of the year, and it does seem like he's picking up on the consistency. He is becoming a consistent target. I wanted to see how he would do with CJ Stroud back in the lineup, and he had a very decent, solid numbers of 5 receptions for 65 yards. He's going to have a tough matchup against Kansas City for this week, but I would want to invest in him long term because some of his matchups going into the playoffs, week 15 and 16 in particular, are pretty good matchups. So this is a guy that if you're looking to get just one more piece before you get into the playoffs, Jaden Higgins is probably one of the best guys you can do that is still left on a majority of waivers. And if we're talking about the other position, how about Adonai Mitchell? Dude went from wide receiver 4 on the Colts to now he's the wide receiver 1 on the Jets, obviously because of the Garrett Wilson injury. But this week, had over 100 yards, had a touchdown, did 12 targets. You know, this could just be a 1-week situation of a starter, but he's going up against Miami this week. If you are that desperate, he is a decent boom or bust play option here if you're looking for a guy that creates great separation and a possible 50-yard touchdown like he did in this previous week. In terms of honorable mentions, there are a couple places you could go. I'd actually point it to Isaac Tesla. He was one of like the big preseason darlings, and then he kind of disappeared throughout the season. Well, look at it this way. No Amon-Ra St. Brown, no Sam Laporta, not even Khalif Raymond. He's having to compete directly with Tom Kennedy to see who would the wide receiver 2 be. We know he has all the potential and all the talent in the world. Maybe if you really need it, try seeing what he could do over the next couple weeks. Keep an eye on him because he could be very, very good if they give him those opportunities to be that. And lastly, let's finish this off with the tight end positions. I believe there are 2 guys right now that you should absolutely pick up on your rosters and be possible tight end starters, maybe even rest of season, or at least one in particular. Darren Waller is a massive get. He just came back from his injury. I expected him to come back this next week that he faces the Jets this week, but he came back a little earlier than I expected, and he had 2 receptions for 47 yards, not crazy numbers, but not big enough to where you could still cash in before the hype truly sets in. He has one of the easiest schedules for all tight ends for the rest of season. He has matchups against Pittsburgh, against Cincinnati, the Jets this week. If you have been struggling with tight end throughout the year, Darren Waller could be one of the absolute best options. Before he got injured, he was an incredible red zone threat for this team. And I think that's going to continue in these final weeks, and he could be like a genuine league winner. If you have that big one weakness at tight end, he can fill it. And he's only 20% rostered according to ESPN statistics. Could be more on Sleeper, but there's absolutely a chance he's out there and you can try to get him. Same with Brenton Strange. My guy. I am a huge fan of Brenton Strange. I've always been a massive fan of Brenton Strange. Came back a couple weeks ago. He's looked good in these last couple weeks. Even though he didn't get as many catches this week, it was more due to game plan. And he's sort of just a player that he's very reliable for the team, especially in a passing game that is now down Parker Washington, Brian Thomas Jr. Even if he comes back, he's not 100% healthy. Brenton Strange is a very consistent, reliable tight end that could be sort of like a fringe lower end tight end 1 rest of season. Both these guys can absolutely deal with any sort of tight end inquiries or problems that you can possibly have. They are absolutely must-gets. And that is going to do it. Thank you so much to anybody that watched. You can follow us on any of our socials right down here. Until next time, in a complex fantasy world, just remember to stay simple. Good night, everyone.